And again, I was going to do something with a low pass here. There was a lot of times I wanted a wobble or something like that, and I just thought, no, it doesn't fit. And I thought, oh, let me try and put it somewhere else, and it didn't fit there. A lot of sustain here, just a teensy bit of a pluck to it. Timbre 1 harmonic level again, that's just making it a sine wave. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure this is it for this sound. Oh no, I thought I was forgetting something. The automation clip. So you didn't. This is automation clip is actually for the reverb. If you look closely, it actually is controlling something else. It's linked to something else, but still, it's a wet, very high pitched and bright reverb. It's a wet reverb, and it's like fading it in because like when it's at full, it's literally nothing but the echo. The original sound is completely gone. And on top of that, you'll notice an EQ here, which is doing a little bit of, increasing the high end, which is what I was doing intentionally. But there's also a high pass, high pass, sorry, that's fading in here, which doesn't have much of an effect. To be honest, you could probably just have a similar effect without it there. I just thought I should do something to give it a bit of motion, because, a lot of the dubstep's about the feeling of motion. Then we got this. Now, one of the things that I love about FL Studio now is, the granulizer. I swear I never see anyone use this stuff, and I think the reason why is Serum, because I don't exactly know how it works, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty similar principle. This is basically how you make a Serum. I think this is basically how you make Serum growls without having to, buy Serum, which is much more annoying and boring way. But at least you don't have to buy Serum. So again, I've used this sound, put it into the granulizer, and I've got it to a point where if I just turn off that, oh yeah, then there's no. So I've got the point where it's making this sound, and then I just blow past it. So there we go. To give it a bit of motion, typical wobble. And then there's just a wave shaper saturating it. It isn't always on. That's what this last automation clip is. And yeah, this sound right here. I really like this sound. I'm not sure if it entirely fits, but I would never want to get rid of it because. Oh wow! I just really like the sound of this. Let's get rid of that. So this sounds so weird, and it's one of the best parts about it is that actually there's not a whole lot going on. Well, there's more than I remember going on here, but still, there's not that much going on here. So there's a low pass it's got a very wide width. So basically, you notice as it goes up, there's the things are getting quieter because they're getting closer to blue. So the volume's fading out as it goes higher up, but it's quite slow. So it's not like a very harsh low pass. It's almost like an EQ, in fact, and that's also that's keyboard tracked, as well as with a high pass, which is what is being automated, which is taking out the low frequencies, which is technically transposing the pitch, which is why this sounds so weird. So basically, when you hear a sound, most of it is harmonics, and what dictates what note it's playing is usually what the lowest harmonic is, because usually the lowest harmonic is the actual note you're playing. I'm not 100% knowledgeable on this, but I'm pretty sure this is how it works. So if you high pass it, you're taking out the lowest harmonic, and so technically now your note is whatever the second highest harmonic is. So technically I'm pitch sliding here, but because obviously taking away harmonics changes it, it would be like playing that a note with that second harmonic, but on top of that having the detune set to a half, because now all the harmonics start off with their gaps being half the size in between each next harmonic. So that would obviously change the wave shape, therefore change the wave shape. So a high pass actually does a lot more than a low pass, but the only problem with it is, because it does so much, it makes it very, very hard to utilise and sound right, which is why the low pass is usually more popular, even though it doesn't have such a complex sound. Because the high pass is technically creating, every single time it gets rid of a low harmonic, it technically creates an entirely new waveform, playing an entirely different note, which is really interesting to think about. But you obviously could still recognise it if it's done right, because the rest of the harmonics are the same. So that's not all that's going on here. So there's both of these have hertz unison, 9 voices. You might wonder why there's 2 parts and why this has got weird pitch. I'll explain that in a second. Both got harmonizer 25%. Don't think these have vibrato. No vibrato. Something else happens to you, right? Oh no, that's about it. Oh yeah, detune 3. That's just for extra weirdness. That kind of makes the belly kind of almost signy sound. So you might wonder why this is here. I'm not sure if this is too much pitch change, but oh well. This is what my attempt at trying to create a re-space, which I mentioned in one of my videos, like where I made a weird drop. I said it was like re-spaces. So basically, I always thought Reese was just like the name of the creator or something. And I thought like re-space was some sort of like just generic bass. But no, Reese is short for resampling, and basically what that means is, before, you know, people did this manually on synths, what they would do is they'd take the sound they made on this synth, and then they'd record it and put a copy of it in, and transpose the pitch by like the tiniest bit, like hundredths of a note, sometimes even thousandths. And that would mean that there's 2 sounds doing the exact same thing, except that one is oscillating slightly faster. So over time it creates phase cancellation, and then eventually the other one goes so far ahead it does an entire revolution and matches up perfectly again with the original sound. But then again it goes out, and so there'll be times when he's halfway through its revolution. It's one revolution. I'm pretty sure it's got a revolution. One oscillation, I think is a better word for it. It's halfway through its one oscillation, while the other one's just finished it another oscillation, and it creates more phase cancellation. So a re-space generally has a pulsy kind of sound, a slow pulse. So it starts off normal volume or loud or whatever, and then it gets quieter and it goes, and it fades back in and then out again. And it's all due to phase cancellation and all this. So I'm trying to create that kind of sound. I don't, but because this sounds so weird by itself, I couldn't actually tell how well this is working. I've got it to work before, but I don't think I've done it on Harmor yet. So I didn't know exactly what to put on the frequency thing. I did it with Citrus before, and of course that's based on frequency ratio, which is a whole different story. Then there's just this piano, which there's not much going on here. It's just a reverb, if I remember right. EQ. Oh yeah, it's an EQ that's fading in. This is kind of like the radio presets you get on here. I just tried to make my own one again. Trying not to use presets, compressors, and reverb is also fading in. Okay. Now, I will admit, this sound is a little bit weirdly done, but I spent ages trying to make this sound right. It just doesn't sound right, but it gives off the effect it should. And to be honest, a lot of the side chaining fixes its problems when it gets into the actual thing, so I decided to leave it as it was. So it's just a slide. It's distorted super saw, if I remember right. Whoa! I've forgotten how much weird stuff I did here. Yeah, like this was a very simple, just make it go ow or something like that idea at first, just something descending, and I kept trying to make it better, and eventually it just, oh wow, I did some weird stuff here, didn't I? In fact, why is the detune 6 divided by 8 when it could just be 3 divided by 4? I don't know what I was doing here. Right, well, just I'll just stop this one here because there's only a few seconds left anyway. But see you in the next one. Excuse me.